Torah Chayei page Tazayin, second column. Let's go. Let's try to finish the mimer today. Okay, now the Rebbe asked the question at the last thing. How is it possible that a neshama, which is a limited being, is able to understand and grasp the essence of Elokus in Gan Eden? So he starts explaining, similar to Moshe Rabbeinu went up in Har Sinai and he didn't eat. So it didn't mean he didn't eat because he can't live. It means that spiritual food came more physical but less physical than regular. So he says that when you have Elokus that's too great and you start covering it, so then that level of Elokus is able to come down in a way that you understand it. So he says,
how does the physical body live on the goodness and food and not weak?
In a Yom it brings down that Nachum Shenobler was very, in the English he called copulent. I mean, he's very fat. And he said he became fat from Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbi. When he said Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbi, we had it in so much enjoyment from it that caused the physical. A lot of times people gain weight from pleasure, not only from the physical food.
What did you say about Moshe Rabbeinu, the 40 days and the 40
Okay, well, I'm not learning it again.
No, but you just said that he didn't fast that? He did.
No. He can't live that long. So he was eat lechem abir machalish. He ate more spiritual things. Okay. This level of fear, love and fear, is only gatfin levad, is only wings to elevate and to pick up the primary things, which is Torah, Ma'is, and Tevim. In Tanya, the Rebbe explains, we know that Chesed is the right hand, Gvura is the left hand. So it says in Kabbalah, Chesed is the right wing, which is Ava, and Gvura Yira is the left wing. Now, if a bird, even without the wings, is able to live. Therefore, it says in Aloha Nital Agapov, if the wings were taken off, you clip the wings, you could still shech the bird. It's not the treifa. So what do the wings do? It's not the life of the bird. It makes the bird be able to fly up. So if you have Torah mitzvahs without love and fear, without feelings, so you did the mitzvah. But the mitzvah is not able to fly up where it needs to fly up. So he says, mahi. What is this ava? That's the wing, so to speak, that picks up Torah, Ma'is, and Tevim higher. In Krishma, when we say Krishma, we say Hashem Echad, what does it mean? Echad Aleph Ches Dalid. So it says in Allah, what are you supposed to think? Aleph is one Hashem, Ches is 8, which is 7 heavens and earth. Dalit is the 4 corners of the world, meaning we're proclaiming Hashem as King in all the heavens and earth and all the 4 corners of the world. He says, Pirish, Techsiv, Malich Halaretz Kveide. The Pasuk says Hashem's glory permeates the earth. V'targumi, and Targum says, and we say this in the Volotzion, Ziv Yikari, the ray of his glory, should Agziv is Pashas Hara Bilvat, which is only a ray of Elokus. That comes into the world, meaning the level of godliness, which is only a ray of the Shekhinah. Yet it says it's a Shemayim v'etzaretz ani malei. We asked this question before. B'chinas atmas elokus, the inyan of the essence of elokus, she'ein nitbus tech midagvul, which is unlimited. So in other words, he's going back to the question. One pasuk says Hashem's ray permeates the earth. Another pasuk says Hashem's essence permeates the world. Now how could that be? He says, Shneim emes, both are true. It's the ray and it's the essence. What does that mean? Kamashal bittul ziv Hashemesh, the bittul of the ray of the sun, b'makar Hashemesh atzmo, the way the ray of the sun finds itself within the sun. He said, Kidua shebe'emes atzmas elokus smaller chalaretz. The truth is, the essence of Hashem is all over the world. There's no place where Hashem doesn't exist. But this, that Elokus comes into a vessel, Meaning like this. Both are right. There is the essence of Elokus, which is all over. This is the whole Shari Chadamun. The essence of Elokus is all over. What do we feel? The ray of the sun. But in reality, it's not the ray of the sun the way it leaves the sun, but it's the ray of the sun the way it is within the sun. So both are existing. There's a ray, meaning the ray of Elokus, Ziv Yikarei, Kveidei, and then at the same time you have the essence of Elokus. So he says, B'nei, Kshemizbein and Adam Heiter Bazat, when a person meditates into this aspect, that really the whole world, which is, as his expression is, a shpayin yam, like a spit into the ocean, you don't really add anything to the ocean. The whole universe is created with one word of Hashem, Bidvar Hashem Shemayim Nasu. So everything is created from one word. That means the whole world is a ray of Elokus. It's not even the essence of Elokus. And yet this ray is inside the essence of Elokus. So in reality, the world doesn't exist. The only thing that exists is Elokus. The way in reality it is that the world really is non-existent. The only thing that exists is Elokus. But but the person, the fact, is in a physical body, which is the serpent's skin. You become bigger and bigger excuse me, from Gashmias. The conceals and hides that we're not able to see this level of godliness physically. So in other words, a person meditates that, wow, the whole world is really Elokus. The whole thing is a ray of Elokus, the ray of the sun in the sun. This that I see world to be world is because we're very fagret and coarse and low, and therefore we cannot see it. But the reality is that that's the way it is. So then, as I the person awakens within himself a desire that he should be connected with this meditation a whole day, and he shouldn't become separated off from Elokus. In other words, a person's role, and this is the ava of the mitzvah, that elevates the mitzvah upward. What does this mean? So the Alter Rebbe is explaining like this. What is the keli to create dira v'tachteinim, like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, is Torah mitzvahs. The person meditates that in reality the world is non-existent. The only thing that exists is godliness. This that it doesn't is not real. It's only because I'm physical and blocked and all that. So therefore, from my perspective, the world does exist. But the person through meditation realizes it's not the reality. The reality is Eined Milvadei. And he said, V'zeh kabbalas malchus shamayim. That's the acceptance of the yoke of heaven, but pasuk rishon ve'ohavta, meaning she'yehavaya elokecha. What is the level of ve'ohavta Hashem elokecha? Because if you think about it, it's redundant. Ve'ohavta Hashem. What do you mean Hashem elokecha? Or should say ve'ohavta elokecha. What do you mean ve'ohavta? It's Hashem elokecha. So Alter Rebbe is explaining over here. Chassidus explains what it means is like this. A person has to come to a level of the realization that Havaya, which means the supernatural, Yud Kei Vav Kei, above creation, the creator, past, present, and future simultaneously, is really Elokecha, that is your nature. In other words, the meditation of Shema, from Hashem Echad, that basically there is nothing but Hashem. Then the pasuk's ve'yohavta, as the Maggid says, you will love, meaning you will come to the realization that the infinite level of Hashem is really what our nature is. Meaning our nature is really Elokus.
This is on the contrary to the beginning of the to the beginning it says that it comes down from Ruchnium, it it becomes gashi. Now over here it says that whatever you see down here is one, but it's flipped over.
It's exactly what he's saying.
It's,
Meaning, he's saying the reality is not the way we perceive it.
right.
What is the avodah of the Jew? To perceive that Elokus down here is the same as above. Meaning, this that Elokus is covered. Right? So, in normal situations, you have a light, right? You cover it, less. Cover 10 coverings, there is no light. But that perception is not real. The reality is there is a light. We are not seeing the light. Why are we not seeing the light? Because there's blockages. But when you realize that Hashem Hu Elokim, that the blockages are in reality Elokus. Ein etzem master al etzem. The essence cannot cover himself with himself. Like we learned the din is, if you need a yarmulke, a kippah, and you put your hand over your head, it's not a covering, because you can't cover yourself with yourself. Or if a guy goes, you can't see me, that's Baba Maisa, because me, the hand is also me. If I say you can't see my face, that's true, because then the face is not the hand. But if I go like, you can't see me, that's not true. Now the meditation understands that all those coverings are really Elokus. So the reality is there is no concealment. The concealment is only from my perspective. So the meditation is to realize that my perspective is not real. What's the difference between Atzilus and Elokus? Atzilus, let's say, take even. Forget about higher than Atzilus. You have Atzilus and you have this world. Atzilus is a world of Ir v'chayir v'chad, Ir gamay echad. It's Elokus. Correct? What's the why? If Hashem is all over, what's the difference between Atzilus and Asiyah? It's only in the amount of revelation from our perspective, not from his perspective. The Alter Rebbe says, we learned this in Shayei Amunah, the Alter Rebbe says, just like we cannot understand the infinite level of Hashem, because we're finite, the same way, you can't understand the power of limitation that Hashem has. Why can we understand it? Because the power of limitation that Hashem is doing is limiting himself with himself, concealing himself with himself, which in reality is not a covering. It's because it's all him. But it's only from Hashem made, from our perspective, there is a concealment. So what is the meditation of Shema supposed to accomplish? That we realize Havai is Elokecha. The concealment is not a concealment. Havai hu Elokim.
From Hashem's perspective, there is no difference between Neshama and Ruh?
No.
There's no difference when you said Atzilus and Siyah?
There's no difference.
So there's no difference between
No.
good and bad?
No. Im Chotosim Atifo Be'everab Shachim Atazi, kids say this in Bar Mitzvah Maimer, right?
How come he smiles when you do a mitzvah and he cries?
That's level, which a level of Elokus. That's a level of Elokus that's connected to world, where behavior matters.
You talked about the...
In that level of Elokus, okay, learn this, when a kid does, a parent with a kid does something good, the parent's happy. Kid does something bad, parent's unhappy. But that level of happy and unhappy is only in the level of a parent where behavior matters. In the essential bond between a parent and a child, the good and the bad are the same. The good and the bad are the same, right? So, world mitzad itself is not really a concealment. The uniqueness is Hashem covered himself with, that's why we can't understand it. He's covering himself with himself, which means there's no covering, there's no concealment, there's no Helen Vehester. And yet, from our perspective, there is a concealment. And therefore, the pasuk in Shmuel says, "Ki kel deis Hashem." We say it in Haftarah, the first day of Rosh Hashanah. Kel deis Hashem. It's a God of deis, plural, right? So Chassidus explains what's the plural. There's das elyon, Hashem's perspective, and there's das tachten. There's our perspective. Hashem's perspective is l'mayla yesh. He is the real existence. Ulamata ayin. This world is nothing. Our perspective is yesh miyayin. That we exist, and Elokus we got to think about. Yeah? But they're both kel deis Hashem. They're both in part of Hashem. That means Hashem created. It's not a separate thing from Hashem. Hashem's perspective is one perspective that He exists and we don't. Kel deis Havaya. Havaya is both of these understandings. That means even from the level of Elokus, there is this concept of yesh miyayin. Now, why is that? It's a very simple thing. Hashem wanted to create a dira b'tachteinim, yeah, a dira in the lowest place. And Rabbi asks in Perek Lamed Vav of Tanya, what do you mean dira b'tachteinim? Lesser saponimi. Lower means further. Higher means closer. Lower means further. If Hashem's all over, it would mean higher and lower. So he says, what is dira b'tachteinim? Not from Hashem's perspective. Hashem created because He wanted for whatever reason. Nisava Kodesh Baruch Hu. You can't ask why He wanted, because it's not seichel. It's taiva, meaning it's a level above seichel, because seichel doesn't make sense. Hashem wanted a dir v'tachteinim. Now if Hashem's all over, how do you get tachteinim? But that's what He wanted. So what did Hashem do? He created all of tachteinim from our perspective. That means, from our perspective, world does exist. But what's that functional purpose is that we should reveal that really the yesh is ayin. That the yesh is really Elokus. And not only that, taking it a step further, in the Rebbe Rashav's Maimarim, that the Yesh Hanivra reveals the Yeshu Amiti. That the Gashmius reveals a deeper level of the essence of Elokus than Ruchnius does. Like we learned, like we learned a million times, explained this concept many times, Ruchnius feels its source. Ruchnius feels its source. Yeah? So it's not, it's or Ein Sof. And Ruchnius, you say Ein Sof. There is no end to it. But you don't say Ein Tchila. It has a beginning because its source is its beginning. And from its perspective, there is a source. Sunlight realizes that there's a sun, that's its source. Okay. Gashmius, yesh mi'ayin. Why do we call it ayin from our perspective? Because we don't feel the source. Right? If Gashmius doesn't feel its source, from its perspective, what is its source? Itself. If it doesn't realize it has a source, that's because it thinks Ein Lo Tchila. Ein Lo Tchila is a higher level of akus, that there's no beginning rather than there's no end.
What about Sof or Gashmius?
What?
Sof.
Sof?
The end.
No.
Does he feel the end? He doesn't feel the beginning. Like end, so...
But Gashmius, that's why, according to Chassidus in Kabbalah, like the Rambanos, not like the Rambam, that ultimate is Tchias HaMesim, Dafka Neshama in a guf. And loss of love, the goof is good, the body is going to sustain the neshama. Now, until Tchias HaMeisim, the neshama sustains the body. Loss of love, the body is going to sustain the neshama because, in essence, the body comes from a higher level of elokus ein lo tchila compared to the neshama.
Doesn't the body sustain the neshama not by eating physical food when you sustain it?
No, that's just to keep the neshama in the body. It doesn't sustain the neshama. In order to keep the neshama in the body, you need to feed it. That's not sustaining the neshama. It's if the neshama leaves the body, it's still the same neshama. The neshama doesn't get stronger when it eats. The food keeps the neshama in the body.
When you do a mitzvah to fill in, doesn't that make the neshama stronger?
Yeah, because that's Torah mitzvah. That's connected to the essence.
The whole inyan of Dir Tachtonim is for us. For him, it's one with it.
It's not, what do you mean for us? Hashem wanted the dir v'tachtonim.
Right. But for him,
And Hashem therefore made the tachtonim. He made the world that the lowest of the lowest of the low. That means there is no revelation of godliness whatsoever. What's our role is to create the dira. Therefore we come, like the Gemara uses the expression, Shutav LaKadosh Baruch Hu b'ma'aseh bereishis. We become Hashem's partner. Hashem created a purpose, dira v'tachtonim. Okay? So Hashem creates the tachtonim, we through Torah mitzvahs does the dira. So then the dira v'tachtonim is 50-50 shutfas. Hashem made the tachtonim, we create the dira there. Through the free choice that we have to do or not to do.
only mitzvot make a difference.
Correct. In how much elokus is revealed. Okay, anyway, 1 second. We learned already that the beginning, the beginning of Eitz Chaim, right? Okay, at the beginning of creation, there's no time then, but level-wise, yeah? Because the infinite revelation of Elokus was revealed, world couldn't exist. Okay? The essence, the world couldn't handle that essence of Hashem. So he did Tzimtzum Arishin, removal, that whole thing like we learned 1,000,000 times, yeah? Yeah, when Mashiach comes with Chayei HaMeisim, that level of Kedem HaTzimtzum is going to be revealed. The essence of Elokus.
And we disappear.
How can that now world handle it? How could the world handle it now if they couldn't handle it at the beginning? Because Torah mitzvahs connects to the essence, so you reveal the essence. So when you do Torah mitzvahs, the essence is revealed now, we don't see it. But that's the keli that eventually when the essence will be revealed by Tchias HaMeisim, that's the ultimate level, and therefore the world will be able to handle it.
I have to listen to this class 50 times.
It's not going to help you. If you think I know what I'm talking about, I have the faith to stay there what I'm talking about. I'm just saying words.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, fake it until you make it. Okay, let's go back here. So what's this baininess? Back this. So what's this baininess in echad? To create v'yohafta, because you need the wings to fly up. The level of v'yohafta is his baininess in the realization, like he says, that Havaya is Elokecha. And therefore it's not redundant. It's not repeating itself. I could say V'aftas Hashem. Why is it V'aftas Hashem Elokecha? So the Alter Rebbe is explaining over here that it means that a person comes to the realization that Havaya is Elokecha. But rather that Elokecha is really Havaya. What is Elokim? Havaya hu Elokim. The essence is really what it's all about. And he says, okay, she avaya lekecha. That avaya is a lekecha, meaning she'etam et kashib is beinin zo bit alenim. What the beinin is supposed to accomplish That's not only during the time of davening. There's baininess of Shachris is supposed to last to Mincha, Mincha is supposed to last to Mayra, Mayra is supposed to last to back to the morning. Okay? But because we can handle this level, this is by us on a regular basis, so therefore, what does the pasuk continue? Okay, so you have like this. There's baininess of Havaya Echad, right? Einay Mulvadi, basically. That brings to the level of the realization that Havaya Lakecha, that the whole world is really Havaya. Einay Mulvadi. How do we keep that going the whole day? So the pasuk continues. You have to learn Torah, because when you learn Torah, there's baininess, that meditation lasts for the day. Otherwise, it doesn't last. When the nefesh shalakiz does Torah, then you become mamish one with Hashem. Dr. Rabbi explains in Tanya, why is Talmud Torah keneged kulam? Because the unity that happens through learning is much more by mitzvahs. Mitzvahs are a garment. Right? So the Alter Rebbe explains in Tanya that so you have the room is surrounding the person. But by Seichel, it's a different story. What's Seichel? The Seichel that I learn is in my head. Right? Parakeh of Tanya. The Seichel that I learn is in my head. At the same time, while I'm learning Gemara, I can't learn something else. Because my mind is in the subject matter. Okay? So when you have water in a glass, the water is in the glass is not in the water. Seichel is unique, that the Seichel is in me and I'm in the Seichel. That unity is only by Talmud Torah.